Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to Jay. I'm joined by Jay again. You missed out last month. You were sick. How are you
I
feeling?
was
Everything
very.
get better?
Oh, everything's fine. The bag of saline made me feel better. Skrelle gave me more issues.
So we're going to talk about Skrelle and the other one, the Latin one. Jay, how do you pronounce the Latin girl?
It's pronounced Vitanvox. If it's church Latin, it's Vitanvox, but it's Vitanvox. It might be the biggest side grade in the history of side grades.
Yeah, this
It's
is.
not an upgrade. I don't think it's a downgrade. It's probably the same as not having this.
Yeah, I think I'd really need to play with it. I don't think it's bad. Originally, I thought it might be a little bad, but then this stuff came out yesterday. We talked a little bit before recording. I don't think it's bad. I think just it's not easily evaluated. I think I would need to play with it to easily evaluate it, and I don't think it will. I don't think it's going to approach. Some people are thinking that it's like amazing. I don't think it's going to approach that either. I think it's going to be exactly what you just said. I think it's just going to be a thing you can use and have fun with. That's probably on par with. Well, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about that.
First thing first. So we have Banshee
Let's
loincloth.
starting with the panty.
Yeah, you want to read it out?
Banshee loincloth. It is armor, set, cloth, and jewelry, so the lion can steal this from you. Uh, it is one waist armor, has red up and red right, as well as green down. And for activating one green affinity, you can increase the effect of your Banshee Dura by one for every two red affinity you have. We'll get to Banshee Dura.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So basically, it's this one armor because it's set to be like cloth. So you'd think because we're gonna spend a lot of time on Banshee Dora and how to do this, but because that's where the meat and potatoes of this is, and that Banshee Dora ability. Uh, but just for now, you can see this is not like this is armored like it's an early game. It's armor one, and it doesn't.
Similar to like Cyrus's stuff in some ways.
Yeah, you'd think this stuff is probably something you'd probably want to use around like right away. But
Let's talk about the other one.
well, how do you craft this?
Oh, right. It's two cloth, a perfect organ, and a leather. A
And
leather.
and
And it requires forbidden dance.
yeah, it requires forbidden dance, which I don't think is.
It's not bad.
It's not bad because drums is good.
Drums is good. I
Yeah.
would argue Heart Flute is really, really way better than most people give it credit for.
Well, not heart flute, synchronized strike.
Also Heart Flute, just to get rewards from like Slenderman and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true. I guess for Slenderman, yeah, specifically for Slenderman, but no one else ever
And
really wants to call Butcher or
the
Kingsman.
hand, to some
I guess
extent, the hand is good.
the hand, yeah,
Kingsman summoning might be better in COD because there's like a philosophy about royal armor, maybe,
maybe.
maybe.
But yeah,
Old
so
royal armor settlements.
Forbidden Dance instantly puts this not Lantern Year 1, 2, or 3.
Yes.
Like,
Unless you're
instantly.
going really hard, you can get this
I think if you went
Lantern Year
6 or 7, or 7 or 8 is what I said. If you're going
bare.
straight for this.
Yeah, bare minimum it's Lantern Year 2.
No, well, okay, you're going.
Absolute bare minimum.
That's some hardcore luck and absolute bare minimum, yeah.
Yes.
That is some I'm getting drums and then next year I'm getting Forbidden Dance without Symposium. I'm getting the exact innovations I want.
Yes.
Has that ever happened to you?
I mean, I've gotten Clan of Death year like 3 before.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah.
That's
so-
crazy.
Yeah.
That goes crazy. Because I got like free Hobble from Gorm, then took Family because I like Family, and then that came up the next year.
Yeah, I mean, if that happened to me, I would also skip Symposium to get it. So that's
But
pretty-
anyway,
So, but just just remember, you need to get Forbidden Dance to do this, because when we start talking about Dura here, to even make Dura good, you also need other innovations.
Yes, unfortunately.
All right, so now
let's
we
talk
have...
about the other piece of gear though before Dura.
All right.
The Banshee Bedla.
What does that
like
do?
Bikini thing. It is armor set, cloth, and jewelry once again. It is 1 chest armor. Has a red up, red left, green right, and Banshee Dura 5 as its special gear rule, which we'll get to. You do not gain movement or activation at the start of your act. You cannot spend survival.
That is some big time limitations. I think that's the most limiting gear I've ever seen ever.
Nah, Erz's Scythe might be the most limiting gear ever.
Sure. I mean, you can still take your act. But yeah, Doombound probably, yeah. This is something. You cannot spend survival, you do not gain movement or activation.
Might have the biggest trade-off of any gear.
Yeah, this fundamentally changes how you play.
Yes. Because of Banshee Dura.
Yes. We'll talk about that. So how do you make this?
This is, again, 2 cloth and 2 scrap and Forbidden Dance.
Yeah, so this one's significantly cheaper, with a significantly better effect than the other one. So I don't know why this one
because because you're paying the perfect organ to upgrade this one.
I guess. We'll see, assuming you get a lot of red affinities. So yes, so the second one will upgrade your Banshee Dura by 1. So you can go to Banshee Dura of 6, you can go to Banshie Dura 7. 7 or 8 is what I'm saying you'll probably max at. I don't think anybody would... I mean, you could probably find ways to get to 9, but that's kind of ridiculous. I'd say I was evaluating this, putting this at probably 7 is where you're going to stick if you're going to use both of them.
7 within normal play, 8 within really optimized play.
Yeah, 9 is...
like a red charm.
Yeah, 9 is like you're using this on a red savior and you've gone herb gathering to get the extra affinities. Alright, so Banshee Dura X.
The special gear rule. It is not a tag, whatever. It's a special gear rule.
Correct. Alright, here we go.
You want me to read it?
I mean, we're gonna break this down. So at the start of your act, meaning you still do go, you just don't receive your movement or activation. Then you're going to gain or lose howling tokens, which are like deflect. That's why that's worded there like that. So meaning that if you can't save these, if you had 2 left, when you do it again, you're just going to go up to 5 or whatever you have. So until you have Eczema, so it's like deflect.
Yes, and if you lose gear that deactivates the loincloth, it'll go down from 7 to 5.
Yes. And if you somehow get something that removes tokens, you're going to lose them. Like if you get doomed or something, well, that's up for debate, but if you have ways of losing tokens, it could be problematic for you. But and then during your act or a survival opportunity, you may spend 1 howling token to... So, again, this is up for reading debate. Either it means what it says, and you can spend 1 during your act or survival opportunity. You can just spend 1 at a time. Doesn't mean you could just spend 5 and do all 5 of these. You'd have to do 1 at a time.
I think I have a decent case as to how this should be played.
Yeah. So then
we'll get to that.
But you can do these 4 things. So you can spend a token to gain your movement, which must be spent immediately. So that's the same wording as dash. You don't get to save it, meaning that you spend the howling token and this is exactly like dash. You need to spend it immediately.
And you move, yes.
Yes. So there's no way of using a cumbersome weapon with this. You just cannot do it.
Yes.
And then gain... so then the next one is gain activation, which must be spent immediately. Again, worded the same as that. This is just a surge, and then limit once per round. So you have surge and dash, limit once per round. And then the third one is perform a survival action using the howling token in place of survival. So here's the other thing. The weird one is, well, this is you need to spend the howling you're spending the howling token to perform a survival action, but you need to still have access to it.
Yes.
Right? You still need to have Inner Lantern. You still need to have those things. So if you were thinking like, I'm going to speed run to get Banshee Dura, get it into your 2 or 3, and then I'm just going to be surging. Well, no, you can't, because you still need Surge to do it.
You need Inner Lantern.
Yeah, you still need Inner Lantern to do Surge.
Paint.
Same thing with Dash. See, so this is good, but this gets to the point of, yeah, this is good. Now you need to have drums, you need to have Forbidden Dance, then you also need to have Inner Lantern, Paint, and what's the third one?
I guess you can dodge with this pretty easily.
Yeah, you can always dodge. You don't need any innovation for that, but you still had the limitations of the survival action, right? So you can still only dodge once per round.
Yes.
So all the limitations of the survival actions are still there. You still need access to them. Still need to have the innovation for them, and they still have their personal limits of once per round. So, like, even if you were to speedrun this, you still have to invest in all those innovations. Before you get this fully online, you're talking like 5 innovations deep. Very, very weird. And then the final one.
You also can't do it with like leap, charge.
Yeah, you can't pounce. You can't do any because you're never going to have access to 2 of these things at one time.
Correct.
And then gain +1 strength token until the end of the round. That's the most interesting one. We'll talk about that. Or I guess we'll just talk about it now. So with the gaining the strength tokens one's interesting because if you had Red Fist, you could convert all of your Dora right to strength tokens one at a time in sequence on your turn, and then just get yourself like 5 to 7 strength tokens, +1 strength tokens.
Well, then you wouldn't be able to do anything.
Well, no, because then Red Fist lets you spend the +1 strength tokens in place.
That's true, and that's not spending survival.
Yeah, and then that way, when you're doing this, like, then that is an upgrade if you have a Red Fist, because not only do you still have access, you pretty much still have access to Banshee Dora, because you're just spending the tokens that it gives you every round, like you normally would, but only those tokens also represent +1 strength. So even now, when you are attacking, you're getting like you spend 1 strength token to do it, and then you're getting +6 strength still. You're actually benefiting from having the tokens,
which then also stacks with what's it called? Calcified Juggernaut Blade.
Yes. Calcified Juggernaut Blade, yes. Really good.
Which is also good with how this works.
Yes, because you get
it's
tokens.
A grand weapon, and you can knock people down with it, or knock monsters down with it.
Yeah. So, there's interesting stuff.
That's a decent build. That's a decent build. And you don't even have to have Red Fist on that survival. You can still have it on the bow support.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's actually a decent application for this. It's a very specific application, and Juggernaut Blade's not easy to get.
Yeah.
But that's a decent application if this wasn't quite so expensive, this armor.
Yeah, and it's not that it's costed expensive, right? I think the resource cost here is fine because it's just like 2 cloth. I know you might not want to use your cloth on this, but I think if you're committing to playing this build, then you're already committed to spending the cloth.
I guess if cloth wasn't quite so hard to get, I would say that'd be worth it.
Yeah.
For me, because I have bad RNG, cloth is finite.
Yeah, cloth is hard to get.
Other stuff uses it.
Yeah, no, it's agreed. Cloth is hard to get, but like I said, if you're already wanting to play this route, you've already committed to spending the cloth. And then after the cloth, it's just a perfect organ and 2 leather? No, 1 leather. A perfect organ, 1 leather, and 2 scrap.
Yeah.
It's like nothing. But
that's fine. Perfect organ is arguably the least valuable perfect resource, so yeah.
Yeah, and then even then, the real cost is, like I said, you need to invest a lot of innovations to get this really going.
Yeah.
But there are
a lot of those innovations you wanted to get anyway.
Exactly, I was about to say that. You do want to get them anyway.
Yeah.
It's just that it's just an awkward prioritization. Like I said, you probably wouldn't normally prioritize Forbidden Dance over other things. But
Yeah, and even still, except for rolling armor, this doesn't. You can't have a complete armor set wearing this. And rolling armor doesn't even have that much red affinity.
Well, it is part of a set, don't forget. They definitely wouldn't have put just keyword set on these gear by mistake.
Well, it's part of the same thematic set, brah. There is, however, no armor set card for having both of these.
So, I think, but maybe, you know what? I think if,
her sister next month, or this month, and she comes with the other 3 pieces.
Or when she gets, if she were ever to get the what is it, the white lions, no, white sun lion treatment, where she actually becomes a white box.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Then I could see Banshee Dora getting put on the set itself rather than the gear piece.
Yes.
Because then you're talking a lot of cool stuff. If Banshee Dora was put on the set piece itself and that gear remained as it was, then you could outfit out the not gaining activation and not being able to spend survival, and then you're talking. Now you're talking.
You know what she reminds me of? She reminds me of those starting survivors from First Hero.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
design-wise, that armor.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe this is something to do with First Hero, because you're right, because First Hero is going to have some kind of, like, starting survivors.
Backstory.
Yeah, they're going to start off powerful.
Yeah, with neat gear. Maybe we'll see it there. Maybe we were wrong about never seeing this again. Maybe somebody's from the Silent Nursery.
Oh, yeah, but you didn't...
Oh, we should read her lore.
That's true, but first off, what you said about never seeing this again, I 100% agree with you on that. And what did you say we were talking before this?
It's too thematically specific to ever come up again as a gear rule.
Yeah, and look, I think this is very interesting. I 100% concede to the fact that I cannot fully evaluate this. I would need to play with it to see just how good or how... I mean, it could be super finicky. It could be not good. I think it's...
And not only do we have to test this, we have to test this in an actual campaign. It can't be like a testing, like a self-contained ecosystem.
Yeah.
It has to be done in gameplay.
I agree, because you're spending so much time going towards these. A lot of it is chasing these innovations. So yeah, I agree. It's hard to evaluate. So I think this is super interesting. Just like you said, Jay, this is super thematic and everything, and I just don't. And it's just hard to evaluate without playing with it.
Yes. Are we going to read the shop description or not?
You can. We're wrapped up now on the.
Yeah, sure. And for those curious about the whole Banshee Dora thing, Vitanvox was raised amongst the children of the Silence Nursery. Their caregivers' wordless smiles are sewn onto their faces, their lips sealed tight. The children of the nursery have a specialized diet of banshee viper tongues and denatured venom that manifests curious effects in adulthood. So they're another group of, I guess, survivors that aren't people of the Lantern.
Yeah, the lore blurbs are always really cool. That's very reminiscent of the same one that you said. The other girl, I can't remember her name. The cold starting survivor.
What was her name?
Yeah,
it's on. Well, I'm gonna pull it up quick because it's gonna bother me. Hellebore. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, her lore, the same thing. Yep, talks about starting.
Cyrus also.
Yeah, very cool stuff.
Yeah, very neat.
Now.
Let's get to Best Girl.
Yeah, let's get to Skrelle. You have the lore pulled up for Skrelle?
Do I have the what?
The shop. You have the KMDM.
Yeah, I can read that off. Skrelle's earliest memories are blurred by tears provoked by the lush, sulfurous stench that entered her settlement as she slept. She often wondered if the rippling shape stooped over her in the darkness were a dream. It left vivid impressions of desperate striving, life bursting from barren soil. Now she chases the strange vegetation cultivated in the darkness. DBK? People of the Blighted Valley?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Skrelle is totally not Urza.
Definitely not Aya. I'm sure you're going to put her portrait up on the screen there.
Definitely not Urza. So Skrelle's amazing. I
She's awesome. She's maybe the best white box of all time. Besides
yes,
maybe Before the Wall, After the Wall. And even
yes,
then, the Dragon Breastplate doesn't exist, or the gauntlets don't exist.
yes. So we're going to talk about Skrelle, but there is no denying Skrelle is by far, since we have been doing this, since I've probably even been doing my channel itself, Skrelle is by far the best white box we have seen in at least 2 or 3 years. Maybe with the exception of Sword Hunter is pretty cool, but even that is not as universally like usable as Skrelle is. So
Yes.
if there is one
Skrelle.
white box, if you ever, because so many people always bring up what white boxes are worth buying, like, or what is a white box. Right now, Skrelle is still for sale. If you have ever thought about buying a white box or wondering, man, all these things are just not worth buying, Skrelle is 100% worth buying. Skrelle is the perfect price. Skrelle is $30 USD. It is the perfect white box price. Skrelle is a beautiful miniature. Skrelle is a very has a lot of utility. Skrelle looks good. The mini is super cool. The mini is very versatile. You could use it to represent an herb gatherer. You could use it to represent a scout. She's so geared. Like the mini itself, if you paint it up, you'll get a lot of use out of it. She's got the the crook? She's got a crook. It looks so cool. Skrelle's perfect.
Cool.
The stuff you get from Skrelle is very universal. You can use it in every single game because it's just a settlement event card. It goes right in the settlement event deck, and then it's an innovation that is tied to that card, which you will then use in every single game you will ever play going forward, because it's so easily added. It's not like this Banshee thing like we were talking about, where you need to work towards. All this stuff is just shuffled into your deck, and you will see it forever. If you buy it, you will see it forever, as long as you're playing Kingdom Death. So Skrelle is superly good. This is the first time ever, but here you go. A white box has appeared that is amazing, and if you ever want to purchase or support KDM and purchase white boxes or wondering which one to get, it's still available, and go buy it, because you never know when you'll see it again.
It's also incredibly thematic and helps develop your sentiments culture, which everybody knows I love.
Yes, Skrelle is amazing. So now we can just gush over Skrelle forever, because Skrelle,
Gameplay-wise,
yeah, Skrelle is clearly best girl.
so simple too.
We'll start with Planting the Stone, which is the settlement event.
Yes, the Plant in the Stone settlement event, which very nice with very nice art. So I like it. The survivors discover a curious plant in a carved stone tablet at the outskirts of the settlement. Has the settlement innovated pictograph? No. The marked stone is meaningless, but the plant is a welcome meal. A survivor pulls endless tuberous roots across the expressionless stone-faced floors. The settlement eats the plant and its long roots. Departing survivors gain +1 survival and insanity this year. Period. If they do have pictographs, nominate a survivor to decipher the stone. They glean that nurturing the plant will reward the settlement. Game the fig sapling innovation. The survivor gains +1 understanding. I guess the nominated survivor gains +1 understanding. They spend their time protecting the sapling from the survivor's hungry gaze and cannot depart or spend endeavors as land ringer. Remove this card from the innovation deck. And then get fig sapling. The settlement event deck. My bad.
Yep, this is perfect. Again, Skrelle is super amazing. I don't even know. It's just so weird, because sometimes, like, we evaluate things, and then you have to ask Dark Tastemaker how they work or something like this. This is so clean.
It's correct. Somebody took an editor to this.
This is so good. And then you have to wonder, like, how is it bound? Like, the fact that this also uses pictograph. Pictograph is one of those innovations where you normally don't want to get it, because it's not very useful. Like, if you're not going to run away, I personally never run away because I played the game to win every fight, so I'm never going to really run away, right? And pictograph, like the very odd hunt event, like Scribe Book, and I think there's another one. The Immaculate Temple. I think that's it. So pictograph interacts with 2 basic hunt events and 1 event.
Like 2 basic hunt events, it's a bunch of stuff with Lion God, because you're supposed to run away from him. Yeah. And you get free lights in the sky. You can make the almanac, which makes getting iron a lot easier in mineral gathering. I take pictographs, again, mostly for thematic purposes, but I do find uses for it.
Yeah, you have to find uses for it. So the fact that this has pictograph, and knowing that you're going to see this all the time in every single campaign because you're going to put this directly in the settlement event deck, this is just another reason to take pictograph. It's so good.
Pictograph has always been something that you mostly take for the side benefits.
Yeah.
And this is another great side benefit.
Yes. Anything you can do to help pictograph. Skrelle is so good. All right, so what's the fig sapling?
The fig sapling is a science innovation, and the only thing it has is an endeavor. Spend 1 endeavor to deep root massage. Roll 1d10. 1 through 8. Inadequate pressure. Nothing happens. 9 plus. Grasping the coarse root fibers, you can feel the hungry pulse of nutrients struggling up. Firmly massaging the roots deeper into the ground helps the sapling grow. Record the sapling grow, on your settlement record sheet. When this result is rolled again, flip this card to the other side.
Perfect.
The other side is the fig tree, but you can talk first.
Oh, fig tree. So this is permanent survival limitation, or survival limit 1. And then each spray of colorless bloom gives birth to humming fruit that swings heavy on the branch, lush and foaming with sweetness. The fruit nurtures the settlement. Departing survivors consume, meaning that you need to be able to actually consume in order to get this. Yeah. It's not just the departing survivors gain +1 survival, but you consume the fruit and you gain 1 survival.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it's so clean.
It's clean. It's thematically coherent.
Yes, you can't get this bonus unless you can eat.
Well, you get the +1 survival limit always, which I'm fine with.
But you don't get the extra departing because, in my opinion, departing the survival limit +1's nice, but getting departing +1 departing survival is really good.
There's fewer things that give that, like Hovel, which I take, ammonia, obviously, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Fig Tree's great. Fig Tree's really, really great.
Yes, and the fact that it's not given away for free because, one, it's gated by pictograph, so you're not gonna. You can make it pretty powerful. Like +1 survival limit's adequately powerful, but the fact that you're adding it to every single campaign could mean that its value varies. Like,
yes.
In games where you're having Manhunter and stuff, survival limit's not that important. But in games where you're not having Manhunter and we don't know what Gambler's Chest looks like, maybe survival limit's kind of harder to get. Maybe because that's one thing. Like the balance of a campaign could sway based on how much survival you actually have access to.
We know that likely Inverted Mountain's probably gonna have less survival all around.
Yeah, so things like that, it will, and then the +1 departing survival is always good. So.
Always good. And it doesn't clog the innovation deck. You never slot this into the deck.
There's no consequences. This is never in the deck at all because it's not a consequence of anything, and it's not a tree. It's just a science innovation. So for example, Settlement Watch is always one that I always use for clogging the innovation deck, right? If you play where you just shuffle everything in, and that's perfectly acceptable, that's how the rules are played, but you can play, it's up to you how you want to play, but with Manhunter, you get innovations like Settlement Watch, and that is specifically a Hovel consequence, so you don't even need to use Manhunter to get that. This has no consequence of anything, and it's nothing besides science, so this never enters your deck at all for any reason. The only way to get it is through the settlement event.
And if you're using CE, it's a science innovation that makes Plague less difficult.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is so good. There's so much going for Skrelle. There's so many little minute things that this does that, you only really pick on them more and more you play Kingdom Death. To pick out the
feels like something from the chest. This feels like a glimpse of one of the minis from the chest, because each mini in the chest is supposed to have some kind of content with it. This feels like that.
Yes, this is so good. And the fact, look, I'm always someone who advocates for whenever minis come out, right, on the shop and stuff, I'm always harsh on them if you don't offer extra utility to things. right? Like if it's just something that's super niche and you're never going to use, and you're only going to use it for one thing, and if you don't want to play that way, you're never going to use it, and you might never use a white box content, right? Like what's the one I mentioned? Sword Hunter, right? Sword Hunter is
Runner.
yeah, it's cool and stuff, but like if you don't feel like using swords that campaign, then it's just a bad event to have in your deck, so you're likely going to take it out.
Or like the Halloween costume survivors.
Yeah. Right? Oh, this is the perfect white box. Every white box going forward.
I hope that this is an indication of the quality of the chest, COD, and Wave 4.
See,
this is great.
Not only like I was talking about with the design here, this feels like an answer to playtesting, right? Because it's all the things that it touches on are things that are mentioned, things that you would mention as you played Kingdom Death more. Like I don't really like when you say you had a playtest team and you were like, how come you guys never take pictographs, right? And then they were to give you like, because we weren't going to deal with Lion God. We don't feel like running away, and the 2 hunt events are just never going to come up, so we didn't feel like taking it, right? Stuff like that. So it feels like, okay, well, we'll make a settlement event for that. Something that's going to be reoccurring, that's likely to happen, right? And then we wanted, maybe we need more survival limit to deal with these chest monsters, and we need more survival at our hands, so we need a higher survival limit, need more departing survival. Right? Or maybe it was like
hand out more departing survival, so let's make it so Broken Jaw survivors can't do it and Squeamish survivors can't do it.
Yeah. Or it was like we have way too many innovations or endeavors, I mean. Because this is on a 9+ to get this to make it. You have to roll a 9+ using one endeavor. That's not likely to happen. So maybe they're
a good place to dump endeavors.
That's what I mean. It's a good place to dump endeavors, right? Because you're probably going to have to dump. I figured like 6 endeavors, right? It's probably going to take 6 endeavors, and you could get that down with rerolls. But if you're not going to burn rerolls on it, it's probably going to take 6 endeavors because you got to do it twice, right? I figured
maybe use your Crimson Jewel reroll on that, maybe.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So if playtesting was showing that gamblers' chests have lots of just endeavors to burn, or endeavors are really tight, right? If endeavors, this is indicative of you might have endeavors to burn, so they were getting power, right? Because they just had so much endeavors, they may be doing too much intimacy. So then you throw something in there like this where you have another option to spend endeavors.
That isn't just on Augury, yeah.
Yeah, that isn't just on Augury or shared experience. Well, you wouldn't have that in Gambler's Chest, you'd have something else. But shared experience is normally another place to just spend endeavors.
Yeah, I think in Gambler's Chest it's like cleaning the gambler up.
I don't know if you get free hunt experience, is what I meant. Or nightmare training, right? Sometimes I'll just burn it on nightmare training.
Nightmare training's a decent place to put it, yeah.
Yeah.
Also thematic.
Yeah, or sculpture.
Great. Yeah, we're just gushing at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Skrelle's amazing, so you can't go wrong buying Skrelle. If you ever were worried that you might buy a bad white box, it's never going to happen. Not Skrelle.
Well, and I would also recommend Till Death Do Us Part, but that's just me.
All right, so thank you for joining me, Jay. I hope next month we talk about Pantsu Witch, right?
Yeah, Pantsu Witch or Plastic Pasha I'll take.
That would be neat. Plastic, yeah, that'd be neat. I don't know if we'll see that. Maybe we'll get another Easter.
Is there proficiency?
No, Easter Twilight Night with some kind of hair mite upgrade, like how
with like a bunny ears Twilight hood.
Yeah, what was it? Because Halloween, Allison Twilight Night, Halloween was upgraded and no one knew it because it wasn't listed on the shop. Maybe we'll get that again. Maybe we'll get Easter Twilight Night with a secret upgrade.
Certainly possible.
Yep. So I look forward to Pantsu Witch. Now that we've said it, we're willing it into existence.
Summon. But as always, thank you for having me on these. Yeah. It's always fun.
Thank you. I'll see you next month.